A plane full of passengers crashed into the deep sea. Luckily, not a drop of seawater seeped into the cabin. But while everyone was celebrating, they didn't know that the plane had sunk hundreds of meters to the bottom of the ocean. Once the oxygen in the cabin is depleted, no one will be spared. What's worse, the communication devices can't send out any messages. They're cramped in the tiny cabin, waiting to die. The next moment, seawater seeps through the glass. It's now a matter of time before it's too late. The captain immediately thought of a way to save everyone. That is to send the signal receiver to the surface of the sea, but at a depth of 100 meters. Without the protection of the aircraft's outer shell, human beings could not withstand the enormous pressure. But this is the only chance to escape. The captain and his assistant immediately changed into life jackets and prepared for action. The cabin crew closed the door to the passenger cabin. They're completely cut off from the outside. When the captain pushes the button to open the hatch, he ignores the pressure. In just a moment, the sea filled the cabin. The assistant even fainted from the impact. The captain had no choice but to abandon his teammates, because there are still many passengers in the cabin waiting for him to save them. Then he swam to the hatch. He opened the receiver's backpack. The yellow valve inflated instantly and sent him to the surface. He had no choice but to swim as hard as he could. Luckily, he managed to escape when he was about to suffocate. Then he quickly climbed onto the hovercraft and pressed the Mayday button. At that moment, a warship not far away accidentally received this unfamiliar distress signal, so they immediately sent a rescue team to the rescue boat. Soon after, the exhausted man was rescued. Knowing that a whole plane full of people are still struggling at the bottom of the sea, the captain immediately dispatched the entire ship to search for them. After much effort, the rescue team finally found the crashed plane. But the scene in front of them made everyone gasp in disbelief. They couldn't believe that people were still alive in the depths of the sea. But before the surprise was over, the rescue team felt a pressure, because once they break the shell of the plane, the seawater will surely flood into the cabin. No one inside will be spared, although the rescue is much more difficult. But after some deliberation, a bold solution was quickly identified. That is to use the buoyancy of the water to make the whole plane float to the surface. The rescue team then passed a sling through the bottom of the plane and attached a huge balloon to one end, and then they attached an inflatable tube to it. When everything is ready, everyone starts to move away from the plane so as not to be accidentally injured while surfacing. Then, at the captain's command, the rescue team immediately started the inflatable pump. With a large amount of gas pouring in from the pipe, a dozen balloons tied to the fuselage eventually floated slowly under the effect of buoyancy. But the vibration from the fuselage instantly crushed the hatch apart. The sea water poured into the cabin. Passengers had nowhere to go but to watch themselves being submerged. If the plane doesn't surface in 2 minutes, I'm afraid everyone will be suffocated. The captain knew how risky this operation was and had to increase the pressure of the inflation pumps to get the plane out of danger as fast as possible. Luckily, it didn't take long for the nose of the plane to emerge. Then as the fuselage was exposed to the water, the seawater in the cabin began to disappear. Rescue teams swarmed over the passengers and helped them onto the hovercraft one by one. When the rescue was over, the jumbo jet sank into the sea again.